A disproportionate number of these parks will be closed if this comes to pass in my district as well as Assemblyman Allen's. If you take a look at this map and draw a couple of circles, you can see an incredibly disproportionate number of parks concentrated in several geographic areas. 8 of the 70 parks designated, for example, to be closed are in Mendocino County. And for a small, rural, economically struggling county, that is a huge disproportionate impact. So I'm concerned about local economies surrounding the parks. You mentioned the statewide economic impact, but I think it's also important to realize that for some of the rural communities that are around these parks, that there's a disproportionate impact. I'm concerned about the public safety and environmental issues associated with illegal marijuana growing and other illegal activities that would almost surely occur. Our experience in other vast state and federal holdings is that there is a huge underground and very dangerous and very environmentally damaging illegal industry taking place on both public and private lands. We heard during our hearing on the threat of extinction to the Coho hearing at the Joint Fisheries Committee about the environmental impacts of illegal water diversions, fertilizer and pesticide dumping into creeks, and the thought of not only not having the park open to the public to enjoy, but also those vital resources and endangered species being further threatened as a result of the parks being closed is just an unacceptable consequence. A couple issues that I hope we will hear something about today. One is I haven't given up on the idea, and I hope others haven't, of revenue. It's a tough one because we did make a run at it with the voters, and unfortunately in this economic environment they said no. But I think there are some creative ideas that ought to be looked at, and I've spoken with Assemblyman Huffman and am interested in a dialogue amongst members and from feedback from the environmental community and the communities around state parks about the possibility of trying to find some way to make it easier for people to purchase state park passes, perhaps through the income tax form. That would require a legislative action, but it's something that I think a lot of people, I don't know about other members, but every time I go to a state park, I go, darn, I keep planning to buy that pass. And, then I forget about it. If you had a very simple check-off process by which somebody could dedicate either a portion of their refund or pay a little more in taxes on their form, and simply have, and that information would be transmitted to state parks and a pass would be sent out, I think it would facilitate a lot of people who would like to have a state park pass, but may not remember every year to renew their pass until they're at the state park saying, I shoulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda. The other thing is that the legislation we passed to facilitate the cooperative efforts by local organizations and local governments to manage state parks is a good first step. We have a very well-organized group in Sonoma County who has formed a coalition to try to keep the parks open. They're proposed, at least on an interim basis, they're very clear that they don't see it as a permanent solution to step up. And I want to hear from state parks what they're doing to facilitate such groups, because time is of the essence, and there's a lot of enthusiasm and momentum in many communities right now, and I think we have to take advantage of that. And I do hope we hear from the state parks representatives to that degree. Given the problems that may occur as a result of closing the state parks, I think we need to continue to question the wisdom of doing so. It is hard to argue with cuts in one sector when we have made cuts in so many. That's part of the problem we face. But I think the cold hard facts about whether this is actually going to save money should be ultimately the bottom line when you look at it from a public safety standpoint, environmental standpoint, and the impact on local and state economies.